the sexy, the talented. You guys know her as the first lady of the octagon of the UFC. She is an actress, a model, an entrepreneur. She is the face of Manette. And she does it all, ladies and gentlemen. She's about to take over the game again by joining us for another edition every single Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. HotTopicCelebTV.com. I'm your host, DTeflon, on the MIC. Don't forget, tonight we have special guests. The beautiful Caitlin O'Connor will be joining us in the building tonight. If you guys want to watch tonight's show, call into tonight's show. You need to go over right now to Hot Topic Celeb TV. Make sure you're following this page as well. If you want to get in and ask a question, you have to make sure you're following myself and Amber on both of our personal accounts, at DTeflon and at Amber Nichole Miller _2.
No underscore. Just Amber.
No underscore, just 2. Okay,
yep.
Hold on. There's Caitlin. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me see if she's good. Hold on. Caitlin! I can't hear you. No, not at all. Hold on a second. Check. Can you hear me? Okay, you're good. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna just go into the other live in about 2 minutes, and we'll cue you in when you're ready to let you into the live. Okay, we will see you in 5 minutes. Okay, all right, sweetheart. I'll see you soon. Okay. So Amber, hop off and then hop back on in 2 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, guys, we will see you soon. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Welcome back, guys. It's another edition of season number 2, Unscripted After Dark. I'm your host, DTeflon, on the MIC. Joining me tonight in the building, the beautiful, the talented, the actress, the model, the entrepreneur. She is one of the most beautiful women in the world. She has been taking over the game as a television host. You guys have seen her in various films and TV shows. She's also a producer, and you're going to get to know her really, really well tonight. The beautiful Caitlin O'Connor joins us in the building. And very, very, very big news. As you guys know, the official new co-host of HotTopicCelebTV.com, Unscripted After Dark. You guys know her as the First Lady of the UFC. You know her as a model. You've seen her on the television show, the reality show, Wags. The beautiful, sexy, talented, and gorgeous Amber Nichole Miller joins us tonight as the official co-host. You guys will be joining us each and every Tuesday. Don't forget, of course, you can check us out by joining us on HotTopicCelebTV.com. Make sure tonight, if you guys want to ask a question and jump in and live to this question, live and answer, you have to be making sure you're following at DTeflon, the little thing up there, and you have to be making sure you're following Amber Nichole Miller, the number 2 on the end. So tonight, of course, as you know, it's Hot Topics After Dark. Don't forget, of course, each and every Sunday night you can join us in conversation for Hollywood actors, producers, in conversation where we're talking to the most influential faces in entertainment. Don't forget, upcoming for all you WWE fans, my mentor, my friend, the legend, the game changer, the man who created the NWO, Mr. Eric Bischoff will be joining us next month, July 17th. So mark that date on your calendar. But tonight, we're going to welcome into the room my new co-host, the beautiful, sexy Amber Nichole Miller. Where are you at, Amber? Hold on a second. Amber, if you're on, you can hop in and send in right now. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome the legendary, the iconic, the beautiful Miss Amber Nichole Miller, who joins us as the official co-host tonight and each and every week. Welcome, Miss Amber Nichole, to the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, hello. How are you?
How are you? I am very, very good, pretty lady. I am very, very good. How have you been?
I've been good, other than, what's going on in California, but
Yes, guys, tonight we're... Go ahead.
Other than that, I've got, I'm in good health, so that's a plus.
That's the most important thing.
Yes.
Tonight, guys, of course, we're going to be talking to a bunch of different hot topics, conversation, situation that happened with Amber. Also, we're going to be talking the Raid versus Woe situation to get all you guys feedback on how you feel about that situation. And tonight, joining us in the building, the beautiful, the talented, the actress, the model, producer, and host, Caitlin O'Connor will be joining us in the building. So, Caitlin, if you're in the room here, please send the request and we will lock you in here in a second. Hold on, where is she? Tell me if you see her pop in, because I haven't seen her yet.
Yeah, I didn't see her yet.
Okay. Hold on, let me send her a message.
And your other one's still showing us live as well. Your DTeflon
is it?
So.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I better shut the fuck up out of that. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. 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 Go to topics.
It's late night for you. I'm like, when you said 11 o'clock, I was all, that's late.
Yeah, but I'm a late bird, man. I think it's funny that Caitlin actually tried to call in at before. I'm like, Caitlin, it's 11 o'clock because she's in Miami right now.
Oh.
So she thought she got the time screwed up, but I told her, I said, it's always after dark, man, because you got to make sure the kids are in bed before we get into our conversations.
Right, for sure. That's 100%.
Okay, hold on. Where is she? Okay, hold on. Caitlin, if you see us, please send a request so we can lock you into the room. So what is happening with everything that's going on with your situation? If you want to explain to them what happened.
Well, for those of you joining us and who have not heard, California is just in such a terrible place as far as burglarization. Actually, 2 more houses in our area were burglarized 2 days ago on the same night. And we were burglarized almost 3 weeks ago. The people actually, it's a gang, a South American gang. If anybody knows about the 90-day visa that anybody from South America is given to come to America without any background checks, without any checks whatsoever. And they've been catching these criminals robbing people, and they rob everybody the same way. They go up through your second patio balcony, they break the window really low so that the alarm isn't set, and they unbolt your safe, steal anything of value. They've stole over $300,000 cash from us, all of my shoes, all of my purses, all of my jewelry, all of our passports. It's incredibly intrusive, obviously, and you feel very violated. But the fact of the matter that the police tell us, there's basically nothing they can do. They said that these criminals are turned right back out 24 to 48 hours. They're like, it's almost not even worth booking them because they're not doing anything about it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So, have the people, for that.
Oh, I see Caitlin's on here.
There we go. Hold on a second. There you go, beautiful Caitlin. Guys, I want to welcome, and you guys will give a nice invite. Welcome to the building. Our special guest tonight, the beautiful, the talented, probably one of the most, and honestly, guys, this is an honor for me to have the two, to me, they consider the most dominant women in the modeling industry of all time on this same conversation tonight. So this is a privilege. Okay, there she is. There she is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Miss Caitlin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good. Amber, can you hear her good on her end?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay.
Very good. What's up?
Oh, it's we were actually just talking about Amber's situation. I don't know if you want to explain it again, Amber, to her on
I
what
was
happened.
listening.
Yeah,
I
she
was
was
Okay.
listening.
listening.
She was on. I saw her sad face and she's like, "What?" Yeah, and unfortunately, this is not going to stop, and we see what's happening, with everybody pouring through our borders and no checks happening. But in California in general, over 90 houses in La Jolla and San Diego were burglarized the exact same way. And now in Huntington Beach, we're up to 15 just here in the harbor, and they've hit LA, they've hit Riverside, they're really, it's the amount that they're taking from people is blowing my mind, and there's nothing you can do for them to be able to prove that they're stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from people, and they're still only keeping them for 24 to 48 hours, and then they're just like let back out on the street. It blows my mind.
But who
That's
do
so
you do you,
crazy.
do you feel that do you feel that's a police issue? Do you feel that's a Gavin Newsom issue?
100%. It's well, and it's a Gavin Newsom issue, but it's also, at a national government level because of our 90-day visa program that was instilled by our current administration, and the fact that our borders are just wide open. It really, unfortunately, is happening everywhere. I have two friends in Denver who just called me and told me the exact same thing happened in their neighborhood, the same MO, everything. They're going through the upstairs back balcony through to the master bedroom, and they're unbolting safes and they're stealing all, anything valuable. So all your purses, all your shoes, and all your jewelry.
So before we start with killing Amber, last thing on that, what advice would you give to people that are in the LA area and after what happened to you?
Yeah, and you know what? And that's what's really sad is that we got no, police bulletin, nothing for our neighborhood, and we were the seventh house. We didn't hear anything about it, and our neighbors heard nothing about it until we were hit. And of course, I went straight to social media. I went straight to, as many people as I could post it to. My best advice is to leave all your exterior lights on. So make sure that your security cameras are on, all your exterior lights are on. I believe that anybody who's been being hit in the backyard from their house is that we just turn off our lights. We go to bed or we go to dinner and we're not thinking about our backyard lights. Everybody leaves their front door light on. You don't think about your back door lights. And I think that's
Hmm.
why, they've been hitting so many people. Everybody they've hit so far hasn't had a dog. So if you have a dog, that's definitely a plus, because I think they're really casing the houses and they're making sure people don't have dogs. Um, but I don't, if you've got valuables, and I know it's unfortunate, but most people with valuable items, they keep them in their master. They keep them in their master closet. If you have nice shoes, you keep them in your closet. You have nice purses, you keep them in your closet. For what's happening right now, you'd be better off keeping your shoes and your purses like in your guest room. Perfect example, a girlfriend of mine,
Yeah.
I'm selling 6 of her Louis Vuittons. They were in my guest room, laying on the bed. I just had taken pictures of them to list them on my Poshmark, and they didn't even leave my master bedroom. They just stole all my Chanel's, all my Christian Louboutins, and all my Louis Vuittons. Like,
I would lose my fucking. I don't
yeah,
even want to know how much money that was. I really don't want to.
we're looking at, like $500,000 worth of things taken, including the cash, which is like devastating because we've been planning, this move and trying to upgrade our house so that we could move. And I'm like, and now of course TMZ is like, oh, can't wait to tell everybody that you guys got robbed. And I'm like, we're trying to sell our house. Like, stop telling people we got robbed. This is horrible.
Wow. So, guys, tonight I want to welcome the beautiful Caitlin O'Connor. So,
So
Caitlin,
sorry.
for all the people that are just tuning in for the first time and getting to know your beautiful face, I know your bit of
Yay.
your story. I want you to let people know who you are, where you're from, and then we'll go from there.
What's up, you guys? Thanks for having me on. It's so good to see you. And goodness, where do I begin? I was born in Los Angeles, raised in Pittsburgh. I'm in Miami right now, headed to Key West to host for the Chive. Some of you may know me from hosting, TV hosting, doing interviews, and for Maxim, the Chive, and other different companies. And on Instagram is where I live. I live on Instagram. It's my home. It's my home base. Here I am.
So, for you taking it back, like growing up in, obviously you said in Pittsburgh, when did you decide that the entertainment journey was your path, or did you have something else in mind that sort of led you to this beforehand?
My dad was always in the industry. He was a Teamster and he worked in the transportation department of different TV and film projects, and he had
Okay.
worked on Pirates of the Caribbean, so I got to visit the set in high school. And after I visited him on set, I really decided this is what I wanted to do. But my parents wouldn't let me. My grandparents raised me. They wouldn't let me do anything in the industry until I went to school. So I went to UCLA and finished my English degree, which I only use to speak very well in emails now. But I did it for them.
So like, did you? So for you making that, like, when did you? And so when did you decide that Pittsburgh wasn't for you and you needed to make the jump elsewhere?
I wanted to leave Pittsburgh, Uniontown specifically. As soon as I got there, my parents got divorced. I moved there when I was 7, so I didn't want to stay at all ever. It was just a different. I just love LA. It's my home.
So
It's
like,
a
yeah,
definite good fit. I wanted to jump in just a little bit
yeah,
because I got to meet Caitlin. She actually did a commercial with my husband
okay,
before he was my husband. And that's really when I got to meet her for the first time. And she was just lovely. And we've, modeled together since then. And
Yeah.
I love looking at her list of accolades because it's
mm-hmm,
so exciting to meet someone that is very
a mirror of
grounded.
you.
She just, here's the thing is if you're a hard worker and you really have the values that, Caitlin has, where she, she doesn't sell herself. And I don't know how to make that not sound strange, but in this industry, so many women, they're bimbos. They're I'm not trying to say they're
Mm-hmm,
bimbos. But they just don't have any like value, right? They don't
mm-hmm,
have that like earth value. She's
Oh,
very
thanks, girl.
grounded. She's got those, you can tell that she really pours herself into her craft. She's educated and she's really working towards, hitting those big goals.
mm-hmm,
And it's so exciting to watch her
mm-hmm.
Thank you.
be in movies. And I'm like, what's your favorite movie? Because I have to say Southpaw is like the favorite movie that you were in. And I'm like, okay, what's your favorite movie?
Oh, Southpaw was so much fun to film. They filmed it in Pittsburgh, and so my grandmother got to come to the set. I would bring her every day, and she was a background actor, so she got to sit in the front row next to Rachel McAdams during the opening fight scenes, and it was just the best. We got her in a limo, and she had like the time
Oh
of her
my God.
life. And I didn't know this, but she passed away a year later, so it was really fun to get to spend time with her on a whole month on set with her every day, going back and
Oh,
forth.
that's incredible.
So that I would say that's a favorite for sure. And working on Winning Time has been also really cool because I love watching the Lakers, and Lakers history is something I'm super interested in, especially now.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Those two projects.
Oh, I love that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you hit the sentiment perfectly, Amber, because that's what I mean. If you remember, Caitlin, that's what I said to you today. Like earlier today, I was like, to watch her career flourish the way it has. And I said to her today, it's like, between you and her, as I said, you guys are the staple. You guys are what I call in our industry the pinnacle of what it means to do this shit the right way and
Right.
do this shit with class, do this shit with grace, and not sell your soul and have a longevity where what I love and always it reminded me of you, Amber, is Caitlin's will to never stop challenging herself, like always pushing the envelope and figuring out, okay, I've done this and I planted my seed here, but is it enough? Do I gotta stay in this place and stay comfortable? Which, as you know, many people in the industry do,
Yeah.
and don't really last very long. And you guys have figured out this way to monopolize every market. So, Caitlin, for you, like, where did you find that drive and passion from? Where do you think that came from?
I'm not quite sure where my passion came from. I definitely have even impressed myself at the amount of years I've been doing this. I didn't know I had it in me because when I go to the gym, I hit a point where I just give up. But with my career, I don't have that same thing. I could just keep going to jobs, never sleep. At whatever comes to my door, I just take it if it's the right opportunity. The passion, I guess, comes from when I was growing up watching my favorite TV shows, wanting to be a part of them. My mom was a model, so seeing her pictures really inspired me at a young age. But it's different when you enter the business and all of the things that you have to tackle, a lot of people just end up quitting or
Mm-hmm.
moving on to a different job because it is very taxing on not only your soul, but it costs money to be an actor and a
Yes.
model. It's not, you have to invest in yourself. It's a business,
Thank you.
and you
Thank
have to
you.
have a startup money fund that is possibly coming from somewhere else. A lot of people end up living in their car. A lot of people do background work for a living because in the union, it's $350 a day, $350
Mm-hmm.
a day, and they just do it every day and save up, and then you get an agent, a publicist. There's all these things that come into play that you just don't foresee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to, I mean, you really have to be a multitasker, but you also have to have multiple streams of income to keep your career going. I found that just
Yes.
later in life, obviously, being a model into my 40s, I was like, this is so taxing because you have to, of course, not take the jobs where they basically want you to sell your soul, and you can give up on a lot of really great jobs and great opportunities because a lot of women are willing to do that. A lot of women are willing to, sell those parts of themselves that, somebody with morals and a high ground is not willing to do. So you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to have multiple streams of income to keep my career going and to be able to be choosy and to be able to pick projects and things that are going to keep me in the light and keep me in a place where I can still go to bed at night and I can still look at myself in the mirror at night. And that's what's so scary and hard, especially with Hollywood. And, I'm like you, whereas, even when I was younger, I was like, oh, they'll fly you to New York and they'll fly you to these places, but you need to be 100 pounds and you need to like, sleep with this photographer. And I'm like, yeah, I like to eat. I'm like I like there's no way, and I'm never going to sleep with somebody to get to a point where I know I can get there anyway. I know I can do it with hard work. I know I can like dig in and put my heels in and really work for it, and that's why it takes so long. And a lot of people go, "Oh, well, it took you a long time to get here or it took you a long time to get there." And you've got a great list of accolades for your movies and your TVs, and I'm like, looking at it right now, and it's so exciting, but you see how much work it takes and how hard you have to really dig in because you have to do it the real way. You have to do it the legit way. And that is a lot harder than people think,
Mm-hmm.
without selling your soul and with really, holding on to your moral compass and realizing your value. It takes a lot longer. It takes a tax on your life, but it also takes a lot longer to get to these things where people are like, "Oh, you're already in. You should be getting movies every day." You're like, it doesn't work like that.
So, Caitlin,
It
when you when
doesn't.
you when you when you came from Pittsburgh, what would you say for yourself when you arrived in LA and just in your journey itself? And we'll break it down into parts. First, the modeling, then the hosting, then the acting. What would you say your biggest challenge was first when you arrived in LA, just stepping in there into a new city, and then second, what would you say in regards to your biggest challenge first as a model?
Oh gosh, when I got back to LA, I really always felt like LA was my home, but I was raised by my grandparents, so I was really excited to be back in Los Angeles, not knowing all of the trials and tribulations that would await me. I was just very naive. But my first job was as the catalog model at UCLA. I went to their open call. I saw it like on the Bruin whatever posting board, and I went
Okay.
for it. And they picked me. I was their catalog girl for the whole year, and that was my first job. And then I worked at Disneyland as Sleeping Beauty. And so I think that was my biggest challenge was getting over my stage fright, getting over I wasn't able to be in a room of more than three people without instant sweat and anxiety. And a lot of actors have that, but when you're trying to, you just have to get out of your shell.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very hard for me. It took a long time, many years.
So, like, obviously you've been balancing between the modeling and acting. What did you find the harder medium between the two, the modeling or the acting?
Modeling is its own career, its own sport, and that came very naturally to me, very easy to me. I don't know if that was just something innate, but I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy modeling. I enjoy creating photos, knowing my angles, helping a company get the right pictures and the right content. That's a passion of mine. And I've realized that over time, modeling has always come really easy to me. And it's not all just looking good. You have to show up on time. You have to be prepared. You have to have your hair and makeup done properly. If they're not doing it for you, you have to have, you have to keep yourself in shape. There's a lot that goes into it that people just think, oh, you show up and you're hot. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case. You can't show up hungover
No.
from the night before. You have to keep up everything. It costs a lot of money to look beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
especially in today's
We
age.
actually
I
got
know.
to this conversation before, and this is one of my biggest things about models with longevity
Okay.
is showing up with hair done, nails done, good skin, shaved. You'd be surprised at how many women show up to a set and you're shooting bikinis and they're not shaved, and you're like,
Yeah. People
what?
actually
What?
seriously fucking do that?
Oh my gosh, so often you'd be shocked. But it really is sad because you will see these women who will, take a job for, way underbid all of us, that have been doing it for a long time, and they'll just show up how they show up. They don't care if their, eyebrows are crazy and they don't have makeup on and their hair is a mess, and they've got bad extensions, and it really is a craft in itself just to be ready and just to show up like your picture. And
Mm-hmm.
that alone is like a huge accolade for like a real model, because you can look at pictures all day long on Instagram, and you can
Mm-hmm.
look at pictures all day long in someone's book. I'm like old school. I still have my modeling book and my modeling Z cards. This is old
Mm-hmm.
Me
school.
too.
I think that Caitlin and are pretty close in age. And it's crazy because so many of these women get away with just
Yep.
being their filtered self, and then you
Yep.
meet them and you're like shocked because this is not the person
Mm-hmm.
you've seen and talked to on Instagram or wherever they, maybe portraying their career. And it's such
Yeah.
a huge accolade to a model to be that person who's punctual, who shows up looking exactly like their pictures, who shows up with their hair done, with their makeup done, and actually knows how to show up, do their job, get the shot, and walk off the set. And it should happen within the first like 10 shots. You should
Mm-hmm.
have already gotten it, and they'll always do extra. But that's what's wild is I feel like we're from an age group
Yep.
at probably we're like the dying age
And,
group. Like
but
all
the thing
of
is,
us,
you guys ain't dying though, because as I
we,
said, I mean,
But
literally,
let us grow.
yeah,
literally in my office, I have a
but we
picture
really
of both.
are like that last like age group of
Yep.
models who are quite literally show up as real models. We're
Mm-hmm.
tall, we're slender, we show up on time, we show up with our hair done, we show up with our makeup done, we will be there with our nails done, all of these things. And this younger generation of models really just doesn't.
But this is the thing, Amber. This is the thing.
Yeah,
You guys use the term in the sense as models, but as I've tried to explain to clients, I'm like, what you guys are brands, not
yeah,
model. Because as a model, you're looking for a job, you're hoping for a job, you're waiting for a job, you're praying for a job, you're wanting a job. But what you guys have done is that you've created a brand because people know you based on your name. Like,
right.
yes, your work is second to none, probably the best in the world, but it's the name that you guys have established, which you understand that when you show up to these sets, yes, you're part of the process,
Right.
but it's not about you. It's about the companies that you're working for, and if you make sure that they're happy, then eventually the word spreads. But as you know, a lot of these girls, they come in, they think about themselves, they're focused in the sense, number one, of getting their Instagram photo out there, and it's just like, yo, like there's a lot bigger world than the Instagram
Oh yeah.
aspects. And for you guys who have been doing it for so long, what would you say, and I'll say this to both you, Caitlin, you can go first, is what would you say the difference is from when you started to now, and what would you say your biggest frustrations in the industry are in the sense of change now?
Differences in the industry, definitely. Companies are only looking for people with their following. The models have to have a following. You might be the best model in the world, but if you don't have a TikTok now, and brands are just looking for that, and I think that they should go back to, looking for a model who's professional, a girl with a brand who is marketable to their company instead of just following her following, because
Mm-hmm.
it may not translate. And I want to shout out Pot Brothers at Law. What's up, you guys? I see you joined. I think that's my biggest pet peeve is brands not really doing their due diligence to make sure a girl is the whole package or somebody, the model is just, they have a lot of followers. That's not what you
Right.
want.
So if you were speaking to a brand right now, any brand, doesn't mean you have to name one, but if you were to give advice to brands that are out there, companies that are out there, in regards to what you just said, what advice would you give them?
I would go back to the old way of holding an audition for your company. If you're looking for a brand ambassador, a lot of things are done online, and I know COVID has changed a lot of stuff for a lot of people. But I think
Yeah.
just interviewing somebody, making sure they're well spoken, really doing your due diligence into what they've modeled for before. And
Yes.
I didn't always have my shit together. I didn't always show up with my hair done. I was a young model. I was 17 when I started, and I'll be 33 in a few weeks. So I've been doing this a long time, and you learn those things over time. If you don't have people holding you accountable at home, you learn from missed jobs. You learn from making those mistakes. And unfortunately, a lot of models out there make a lot of mistakes and they can't find
Mm-hmm.
work. But over
Yeah.
time, you have to prove yourself and find people who you trust to get jobs for you, or just do everything yourself. And that's what I've had to do, because sometimes agents disappoint, managers disappoint, but you have to show up, and I show up for myself. So just do the work and something
I
good will
love
happen.
that. I was like,
Amber,
wait,
same
you
thing.
are, she is a baby. I'm like, you are a baby. Wait a minute. I'll be 45 this year, so we are not close in age. But
Oh
we
my
still,
gosh.
But you're still both destroying
but
every model out there in
this
the
the thing
industry.
is that we value the same thing in our career, and we value the idea of earning it. And that's what has changed so much, is that there is no real, earning the position and earning the job and earning the spokesperson, position. And that's where companies are really missing out. And they're hoping that this person's followers and their branding of themselves. But if you look at most of these women who are getting hired on these jobs, their man to woman ratio is
Mm-hmm.
like, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're really appealing to
The
men.
flat tummy, the
And
flat
let's
tummy T girls.
Right. Well, and I'm saying, these companies, if you're hoping for a broad scope of, people wanting your brand and talking about your brand, if you're going after these women with huge followings, you're probably not going to get a lot of sales. And that's what blows my mind about these companies, is that they don't actually understand that this following of, 80% men,
Man.
they're not going to be shopping whatever you're selling. And you
Nope.
should be going back to that old way of, seeing who this person is, if they're actually, a person that will represent your company outside of the internet, because you have to be a brand ambassador wherever you go. And I learned this super young. Like when I would show up to places, even when I became a ring girl for the UFC, I was the UFC. So if I showed up to somewhere, that's who I represent.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of these companies miss that mark by just hiring a girl with a big following. And it's sad, because
Hmm.
this is where our modeling industry and where our acting industry has really gone. You see a lot of really poor actors, but they've got a lot of followers,
Mm-hmm.
and you're wondering how this person got this movie. And that's why, sadly, that's why they're getting these movies, and there's no criteria to actually get the movie. It's like, oh, well, you've got a million followers. Well, a million followers are not going to come to your movie, because I promise you, they are not there to see her on like get killed or whatever this girl is doing in the
Mm-hmm.
movie. They like her bikini photos. And that's what's crazy, is, you see this more often than not. And just
Yeah.
having the value as a model. I mean, Caitlin is really doing a great job as one of the ones that are still in and still doing the movies and still doing the TV and still doing the actual modeling jobs. Is You're going to find that that's really few and far between, that
Now,
actually have a head on their shoulders and actually represent the company in such a way that they can speak on the company. I don't know how many models I've met that, they'll take on a jewelry company, or they'll take on, and they'll know nothing about the
nothing
company, and they won't even bother to
to do the
educate
research.
themselves.
Yep.
And you're like, so, tell me about this or that. And they're like, oh yeah, you can just click on the link. I'm like, You don't know anything about the product. You don't
Well,
know
it's like what I call at the expos, like at the fitness expos, like when the booth bitches, where
right.
it's like, you know, buy this like 15% off energy drink. Okay, well, what the company do? I don't know. Just take it. It's fucking good. Just try it. And it's just like, and I try to explain to them all. I'm like, look, just like you said before, like these girls now, when it comes to the business, they come in, you
Yeah.
said, with these massive followings and stuff. But I always try to explain to myself, like, I'll have interviews with girls, and I was like, look, I'll ask you a simple question. I just want a simple answer. If you had a choice right now, being the face, the spokesperson, the cover girl of either one of these brands, and which one would you think would be the most not only beneficial for your career and longevity, but the most financial reward? So I'll say Maxim, Playboy, Swimsuit Illustrated, or Walmart. And I can't tell you the amount of people that will choose Maxim, they'll choose Playboy. And when I sit there and say, well, you know you should be choosing Walmart, they're like, that's old lady shit. I say, okay, understand one thing.
Right.
You can't model forever. But
No.
those girls that you see starting off at 19 years old, who's the target market for Swimsuit Illustrated? Men.
Men.
Who's the
Right.
target for Maxim? Men. Who's the target market for Playboy? Men. But when you look at Walmart, seen in over 300 countries, an international brand, these girls could start working at 19,
Yeah.
then 35, then 55, and still be doing it until they're freaking 60, 70 years old.
Well, you have to
But
be behind a brand that you're actually going to use and that you think represents yourself. Like
mhm,
obviously you're not going to want to sell it to Walmart if you're working for big brands, you know, if you're working for Cavalli or you're working for Gucci or
mhm,
you're working, but at the end of the day, you like we talked about in our interview, and I'm sure Caitlin knows this, is that like Maxim and Playboy, you can now pay for a cover and have no former experience, and you can be photoshopped to the max and not even be a real model and get the cover. And I think that people are so blown away. They're like, oh, you know, why haven't you had the cover? I'm like, because I won't pay for it. I will not pay to be on the cover. And guess what? These magazines now make a killing off of women's insecurities because they will pay to be on the cover of these magazines, which now means nothing. You know, I remember when I first started modeling, getting a cover of a magazine was like an accolade. Like I have tear sheets and magazines for years, and it was a big deal because I earned those things. But
mhm.
now anyone, literally anyone, can buy a cover of a magazine.
So Caitlin,
And
speak on that. Like for you,
yeah,
like obviously, as Amber said, like the game has changed in regards to social media compared to print. Do you feel that social media now has hurt the business in a way, or do you feel that it's better the business?
It's a double-edged sword. I think that it's definitely helped my career because I was able to grow a following. I've always gone through the back door. Like for Maxim, I got hired on the spot. I was just attending a Maxim party, and the promoter knew I was a TV host and hired me to replace the girl that didn't show up. And that's how I got my job as the Maxim host.
Okay.
And that's been one of my favorite TV hosting jobs of the past 6, 7 years, but I think social media helped me because that person only knew me from social media, knowing that I was hosting. So you get to put your work
Hmm.
out there. You get to show
yeah,
people that you have talent without doing a big job for another company. You're working for yourself. You're putting your talent on display on your own pages, but people can see that. That's a good thing about social media,
Hmm.
but it's all of the trolls and the negative comments. I've blocked thousands of
So
people,
how?
so that's
That's a
hard.
perfect subject. How do you deal with that?
If I see a comment that just even minutely looks negative, I'll block it before I read it. I'll block that person. And a lot of girls say, well, why do you block people? That's just extra eyes on your page. But I don't believe in all of the negativity. And if somebody has the balls to write that on your page, they're not a good person. I don't care if they buy my product.
yeah.
Go on to somebody
Agreed.
else's
I think
page.
that's one of the hardest things is to get to the block button and to get to the delete because really, you know, women are already emotional creatures, and I feel like they know when to go after you, and it's super hard. I'm sure you've been through it where it's super hard not to read because you're like, oh, we're so ugly
it's
and
like
terrible.
seeing a car accident on the street. I
Oh,
have to see what they say. It's
yeah,
so
it's
wrong.
awful, and you're like,
But who do you guys feel you get when it comes to the negativity on social media? Is it more from women or more from men?
oh,
Oh,
from
leaving
women,
comments.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
Leaving mean
negativity.
comments.
Yeah,
Men.
you
seriously?
get the
Guys.
men.
You?
Yes.
Why? Because you know what? You don't respond to their dick pics and like I mean,
I can't even remember the last time that I even accidentally opened a dick pic, you guys. I have blocked so many people. I've blocked
Serious.
all the dick pic givers. They're all blocked. They're gone. Senders, don't send to me.
I now get a lot of the sugar daddies. I get a lot of, will you be my sugar baby? I'm like, is this like this is a real thing? I was like, I love it because I
I
just read
can
them
be
too.
your sugar daddy. How about that?
Yep. Like,
so for
sugar-
both, I mean, for both of you, obviously, I mean, when it comes to social media and dealing with those type, you said type of trolls and the inappropriate comments. But obviously, I mean, me and Amber discussed on this before. Like, how do you feel as a beautiful woman, as a sex symbol, and obviously, as I said, you have just like Amber, you guys balance the scale in the female aspect of the business, also dabbling into per se a more dominant male aspect of certain parts of the business. How do you find your way to not only give yourself the credibility, but to be able to have people respect you in a way as a professional and not just look at the physical aspect of, okay, she's hot, she got big tits, whatever, and be able to go into these meetings and go into these auditions and stuff like that and have someone take you seriously as a professional when you see so much bullshit on social media with other girls shaking their ass and doing all types of nonsense and getting opportunities before you. How do you maintain that level of professionalism to get taken seriously in the industry?
It's hard. I show up as myself and I do the inner work and I do the work in my own life and my personal life on my own character and what I love to do. I work on myself and you show
Okay.
up as yourself and people can see within 3 seconds through you. Like I learned this doing beauty pageants. The judge usually picks if you're the winner within 5 seconds. So I just try to just show up as myself, be as natural as possible, and my work will shine through and everything that I've worked on speaks before I arrive. And that's how you should look at it. You don't show up as a different person or, you know, being fake. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part of it. But people get opportunities and then they lose opportunities because they're not the right person for the job. So if you just follow the right jobs and show up as yourself, that's all you have to do.
So, I mean, me and Amber discussed this last time in regards to obviously this, the 2020 year was a big year for, the Epsteins and the Harvey Weinstein situations. For yourself, as I said, being a woman, have you ever been in a situation of that type of environment and
Ah,
how did you handle it?
I would say the industry today is very, very different than what it was 15 years ago when I started modeling. And if I could do everything over again, maybe I wouldn't go the route that I went. When I was younger, I loved to be in a bikini. I wanted to be out there. I wanted to do the things that I did. But now looking back, I may have different choices, but I can't go back. And the things that I saw 15 years ago, I'm happy that women have more power. Now I'm happy that I don't get as many, I don't get treated that like that. Guys are
Correct.
scared now.
yeah.
They're really scared.
We got the two most baddest women on the planet in LA, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're scared.
Well, and that's the thing is the dynamic has changed immensely, and it has been helpful that people really do come out and they speak about it and they're honest and frank about it. And I feel like a lot of people, I'm sure Caitlin has had to deal with this as well, as you will miss out on opportunities and you will miss out on roles because the people who are the underbelly will know that you're not on board, quote unquote. They know that you're not going to be giving up something that's valuable to you to get a position or get a job or, get that magazine or whatever it may be. And it's nice because we've weeded out that 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 cesspool in a way, because a lot of legitimate companies are now getting rid of those kind of people because they know that the real models and the real actresses are not going to show up and be treated that way. So they're going to start getting rid of those producers and those people who make people feel uncomfortable. I love that the businesses kind of move that way.
Yeah, the Me Too movement and everything, feminism has become an interesting subject because the industry has changed very, very much. I remember when I was 18, I was dating somebody who was a writer, and one of his friends was a big director. And I can't say the name, but he got my number. He texted me, "I'll give you a role if you show up to my hotel room tonight, 8 p.m., wearing only a rain jacket and nothing else."
Oh
So,
my
first
gosh.
of all, I don't have a rain jacket. Second, you're my friend's, you're my boyfriend's friend. I cannot, there's no absolute, I don't know if it was a test or what was going on, but
Right.
that has happened to me dozens of times and I just haven't. But the girls who do take those opportunities, they have to, and I hope that they do, understand the consequences, because when you sleep with one person, everybody finds out, everybody knows that
Hmm.
other people expect that from you. So you never get out of that box that you put yourself in. And girls, when they're young, they don't have that perception. They think, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how other people have made it in the business.
Hmm.
And I just don't think that's the right way to go. Just do what you want to do. I'm
Yeah,
not judging anybody, but understand the consequences of your actions.
absolutely.
But how do you feel though when you see the girls that have both of you, like when you see the girls that have effed their way to the top, where you're grinding and putting in the work and you're seeing opportunities that you know you deserve, go to that person that slept with Harvey Weinstein or whoever and take away a job. Do you feel that like that situation, what's the word I'm trying to think? What that situation
Do we feel
hurts?
jealous?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
don't
could use
think
that.
so. I would have to say, I mean, I'm not speaking for both of us, but I'm sure that she probably feels similar. I don't. I actually have more pity in my heart that they'll have to live with that. And I don't even get that jealous feeling. And I've had friends sleep with people to get magazines over me and sleep with people to get positions over me. And I was sort of upset, not that, this person got this job, but I was upset that that's all it took.
Hmm.
And now later in life, I really just feel sorry for people who have to go that route. And they really are now going to have to look at themselves in the mirror and realize that that's what they did to get where they thought they wanted to be. Because at the end of the day, you still have to answer to God. You still have to answer to yourself. And how do you answer now, when you've done that to get to a position?
It's such a loaded question. I make my own decisions based on how I feel and how I'll feel after. And
Hmm.
a lot of people just don't have that conscience.
Hmm.
Maybe they don't feel anything after. Maybe they do feel like they have one up on somebody. I would prefer to pay for a magazine cover than have to answer text messages and go sleep with
Yes.
I'll just buy. Can I just buy it? How much?
Right.
I mean, for you, I mean, that brings me to my next point. Like, both of you obviously have established such a legendary, iconic career in the industry on so many levels, as models, as entrepreneurs, as business people. But as you know, like being, as I said, the powerful, strong, beautiful woman that you are, and both having, you know, when you're in trying to make your own mark and in relationships, and obviously, Amber's relationship is solid with Tito and everything, but for you, like, have you ever had a situation from start to even present where, you were in a relationship or met somebody that felt inferior due to the fact of your success and you being in the public eye, and you maybe, them wanting to maybe compromise, you know you getting ahead because their ego is they can't put it in check? Like, have you ever had that situation?
Fortunately, I have not been in that situation where my partner has tried to control me based on my successes,
Hmm.
or felt inferior. I think that that's a partner choice for anybody out there. If your partner is making those decisions, you have to call them out on it and you have to talk to them about their behavior. And if the behavior continues, then you need a new partner because another person's success should be a driving factor for you to get to work
Hmm.
instead of to start to act out and be a baby. So
Yeah.
if you have a baby, you need a babysitter.
I like that. So, I mean, for you, I mean, when you first started off in the business, I mean, if you're in a relationship, if you were to give advice to somebody that's getting into the industry, how have you, and for both of you, same thing, like, how have you guys been able to balance your career and keeping your independence, but also making sure that you're not making the person that you're with feel like this is more important than the relationship?
That's a good Amber question. You've got it down, girl. You have a solid, you're
Well,
solid.
through my modeling career, in my younger years in my modeling career, my modeling always came first. It took precedence over my relationships, and my relationship sort of took the backseat to it. But I feel like I never had that strong companion. I never had that strong partner in a relationship, but I purposely chose weaker partners
Okay.
so that even if it fell apart, I was okay because I had my career and I had things that were important to me. I would choose somebody that, I cared about deeply, but I knew, if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. And I really never put my whole heart, my whole brain, and my whole, career and everything sort of into the relationship, knowing that that was more important to me. And finding a partner who equally is independent and finding a partner who's equally, has their own career and we work separately and then we have our relationship together. It's really nice because when I first started modeling, everyone was, Amber's boyfriend or Amber's husband or whoever it was,
Hmm.
and it never really had a name. And it was funny when I first started dating Tito, being Tito's girlfriend. And then, once people were like, oh, wait, that's Amber. And it was just it's hard to balance. It really is. And you have to find somebody who genuinely cares about you finding the success, whatever the success is, that they genuinely support that. They don't care what it is. They genuinely support your success in whatever is your driving force and whatever excites you and whatever makes you happy. Because you are two separate people and you have two separate lives and you have two separate sets of goals.
Hmm.
And when you find somebody like that, then you kind of meet in the middle, right? You have a nice middle ground because you have your success, they have their success, but then you have your relationship. And that's
Okay.
a completely different thing.
Yes, I totally agree.
So for you, Caitlin, like, you've obviously, as I said, I mean, you balance between obviously the acting and the hosting and the modeling and producing. Out of the millions of things that you do as well, what would you say between, and breaking down, as I said, all of them, modeling, acting, and hosting, the differences between the three? What's the hardest medium out of the three of them? And where do you see yourself in the sense of the next level of your career? Where would you want to see which one go further?
The hardest part of my, I guess you would term me a multi-hyphenate performer. It's
Yeah.
always been acting for me because when the moments that I get to work, nobody gets to see the work that I put in for every audition. Only the casting directors get to see that, but that is still my work, and that's what
Hmm.
I enjoy. And now everything is self-taped, so I get to just do this all day in my house. Don't mind my hotel room, but in my house I have a whole setup. I just have to do audition after audition, and it gets really hard to just send audition tapes out into the ether and never hear anything back. And you really put your
Hmm.
heart and soul into that tape, thinking that you'll get a call back or something. So people may say, oh, she hasn't done that many acting roles, but I get to work every day. I
Hmm.
feel like during my casting tapes, But my favorite part of my job is definitely TV hosting. I love being on the red carpet. I've interviewed Amber and Tito before. Was it for Maxim? I don't know, but
I think it was.
I
Yeah.
love talking to different celebrities and researching who's going to be at a certain event that I'm working at. That's my favorite. And I
Okay.
think it stems from watching all that E! News when I was little and Joan Rivers and Melissa Rivers and
Yes.
Jason Kennedy. That's my favorite part of my job. So that's, only as many opportunities as I can get as an actress, I would love, but the industry is very overpopulated. Lots of girls
Hmm.
are up for all of the jobs that I go out for. So TV hosting is where I get to, be seen.
Okay.
But hopefully I just keep going.
What do you find like for you? Do you prefer? Because obviously, exactly what you said, COVID has definitely changed shit. What do you find for you? Do you prefer the self tape or do you prefer the in person edition?
Younger me would have preferred the way it is now to do a self tape and have 1 million takes that you can just, do a million until you feel it's the right thing. But older me, more advanced, like socially, I feel less afraid to be in front of a room full of producers and casting directors. And I don't know if you feel this way, Amber, but I would love to be back in the room with people so they can feel
Absolutely.
my energy and
Hmm.
feel who I am, and that might get me the job more than being in front of like a little blue drapery and trying to like
I agree
have
so
props
much.
and
Well,
oh my god, it's so
your
much.
energy is totally different from a self-made tape. That's one of the biggest things for me is I detest the self-made tape because really it's like going on live on Instagram, but they don't get to feel your
Energy.
emotion.
Hmm.
It's a different thing, and we all know we're made of energy. When you walk into the room with your confidence and you know it and you're there and you land that line and you got it all down and you just know like I got it, no problem. You walked in, you knew you had it. You don't get that. There's no instant gratification. You don't get to see them face to face in their eyes. You don't get to kind of feel their energy. It's a really weird
It
detached
is weird.
business
Hmm.
now because you're like, hopefully they like me. Like, I don't know who's looking at me. I don't know what they look like. I have no clue, but hopefully they like whatever I came up with.
I don't even know if they're opening my tapes, but I'll spend all night on a
No
tape,
idea.
and so it's hard. When I
Uh,
walk in the room, I know they saw me. I paid for parking. I
Yes.
walked all the way down the street to get in there. I waited in line with all the girls that look just like me.
I'm gonna give
Yes.
you some.
I
I'll give
bought
you.
Well,
I
I'm gonna
bought a
give.
new outfit.
I'm gonna give
yes.
you some
Well, like
advice though,
you.
Caitlin. I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
some advice when it comes to when you said you don't know whether or not they've seen the self tape, and this is something that my mentor taught me earlier on in my acting career. In the very, this is when you used to have to mail headshots in and shit to like agents and stuff. So
Yes.
my very first agent, because I knew in the sense, because I've always just had that mentality of like, I wasn't born to blend in. I was born to stand out. And you guys are stand out in whatever you do. So my advice, sometimes people think I'm crazy, but if you're trying to make somebody open that tape, the very first edition that I ever did, ever sent off a tape for, ever sent off photos for, back in the day, they were always in a brown envelope. For the
Yes.
headshot, the brown. So what I did was I got a really pink, sparkly, put some rainbows and shit all over the envelope because when that thing shows up in a pile of 50 brown envelopes and you've got that one pink envelope, the curious mind, even if they think they're crazy, they're going to open it.
But
So
you
this
see,
is
we
what
don't even have that luxury now. It's all digital. So literally you're hoping they get to your digital file. That's what's crazy about right now. It literally has taken the human and the emotion and the like energy out of the audition. They
true.
are literally getting a digital file that says your name. Like that's it. Like that's you're hoping and praying that your
I
name
know.
all of a sudden is a name they remember. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, hopefully they have a best friend named Amber. Like you gotta like
Gosh,
I'm
that's the
hoping and
truth.
praying that this name is gonna excite them. That's where we're at in today's age, and I agree with Caitlin. Like I love the energy of walking into the room, even when you're nervous, because everyone's nervous. Everyone walks in. with a nervous energy, but when you know it and you just do it. And that is what's exciting about the audition. They've taken that away. I wanted to just read one of Caitlin's
Yep.
quotes. She told me to you know, know all the things.
Yep.
But I loved that you had a quote for 2020, which is crazy because we had no idea what 2020 was going to hold. And I was like, oh my
What
gosh, this is
what did I say? I'm scared. You did your
I was like,
research.
this is great. It says, I hope 2020 brings a 2020 vision and a new lens of discernment to my heart. So I was like, I wonder where she was. Like, was it like a breakup? Was it like an emotional time for you when you said you needed a new lens of discernment for your heart? I was like, sounds like heartache. So I'm like, what is 2024?
Oh,
What was 20 for you?
I think I do remember that quote. I was working for 24 Hour Fitness. I was doing their ads or something. I think it was for the gym. And I, at that time, I had lost my dog and my cat. They passed away right within the same amount of time, within two
That always
Same.
months of each
happens.
other.
Same.
And
Same.
I don't, I just missed them so much. I think during that interview, I was like, I hope that 2020 brings 2020 vision to my life, something, some encouragement, because I think that my boyfriend and I were both really going through it at that
Aw.
time.
And you know what? I
But
swear,
2020 was
it's crazy.
It was a
crazy.
fucking hot mess. That was a hot mess.
You're like, I don't know if it brought discernment on my heart, but it definitely brought a whole bunch of craziness.
I didn't discern much. I was in my house watching
Right.
TV for most of it. I watched a lot of Ozark.
You're like, I'm in my
Netflix.
pajamas most of the time.
But I guess it did. It allowed me to see what is important in life,
Okay.
and family is much more important than all of the jobs that we run all over town for. It's important to fit that family time in, and time with your loved ones. I think that's what
Absolutely.
2020 taught me.
I agree. A lot of people are very negative about 2020, and there are 100 million negative things that happened for 2020. But I have to say that a lot of people that I know personally, and even in my family, you really started to understand what was really valuable and what was
Hmm.
really important because you didn't need to go to the movies. You didn't need to go to, go traveling. You didn't need to go to the amusement parks. You didn't need to go out to dinner every night.
And you
You,
couldn't.
right,
You couldn't.
right. But you realized you didn't. You don't need to. You realized that you're just fine cooking at home and you're just fine, sitting at the table with each other and playing board games and doing normal things that we all did as
Yeah.
kids and we got so used to now like the outside stimuli instead of just buckling down and doing the things that really are the most important. And I love that. And that's what I took away from it. It was really a way to connect with my family and with my husband and with my kids. And it it was a huge change for a lot of people I know that they either made it through or they didn't make it through. And I think that that was a huge thing too for a lot of relationships. And I don't know if you have any friends that went through the same thing as I had friends that were like, we're getting married, or we had friends that were like, oh my God, we cannot live with each other, we're getting a divorce or we're splitting up. And it really like made people kind of sit with each other and realize who they've been spending their time with.
But for the three of us who are, are go-getters and hustlers, did you find it for both of you? I mean, did you find it hard to not be at the pace that we're all used to being at? Like, did you like to stay mentally in the game of like, okay, I'm not going at the pace, I'm not doing as many additions or jobs, but to stay busy, or did you just say, okay, I'm just going to take this time for myself?
I gave up. I was in bed. I was done.
You did not
I
lie.
all of my own personal volition for anything was gone. I was like, where are the snacks? Uber Eats was my best friend.
Oh my God.
So many
I love
points, so
you.
many Uber Eats
You're like,
points. I was
oh my
done.
God.
They told me to be done. I'm done. I did it.
Oh my gosh. I probably cooked more meals than I've ever cooked in my entire life. I was like, at the end of 2020, I was like, I just did my taxes. I spent like $16,000 on food the next year because I was like, I am not cooking. I'm not cooking. I don't care. I'm going out every night because I can afford to go out.
So I know there's a real hot topic, obviously, right now in the world. As you know, we all know the Wade versus Roe turnover with the abortion thing. I want to hear both of your guys' opinion on that situation.
Oh, Amber first. She's she has
I know,
babies.
I'm not afraid to speak on topics, and it's not going to hurt my career because I've like hung up those boots, because I know that having conservative values and being Christian and being really outward spoken really does limit my career choices at this point, and I don't mind at all because I really like my life and I'm totally fine with where I am. Um, with the Roe v. Wade, I think that so many people are not educated on a lot of topics, and this one included. Sadly, is people believe, oh my gosh, women are going to go get abortions with a hanger and like die, which I think is freaking insane because that's not what happened here. When Roe v. Wade was removed, right? It just takes all of the abortion choice to the state level, which a lot of states have said, we're going to make it illegal to get abortions. Now, again, that does not mean that this person can't go to another state and get an abortion if need be. But I feel like what it is doing is by putting it in the state's hands and keeping it on a state level, the government and the federal. My cats are like really trying to get in this room. I'm like, what is that noise? um they're putting it in the state's hand, and now we don't have a governing, the government telling us, oh well, you can go and do whatever you want, whereas with the state level, the state can say, okay, well, we're no longer going to allow women to use this as birth control, which I think is awful. There are plenty of places you can get birth control. You can get a condom. You can get, all of these things that you can also get at the same Planned Parenthood where these people are getting an abortion. You
Hmm.
can get contraceptive. And I feel like you can also, when people go, oh, well, what about women are raped, or what about, people with incest? And again, these are really hot topics and they're really hard. And being a Christian, like, it's hard to say that I don't believe that, somebody that has been raped or been through incest or been through something like that shouldn't be allowed to access that. But again, you do have the rape kits at the hospital, and Plan B is an option, and these things are also an option. And I don't believe, what people are saying is that, all of a sudden all these women who need access to having an abortion will be dying and will be, getting these horrible, backwoods abortions. We're so far superior in our science and where people can get these abortions, done. I don't think that people should be able to use them all the way up until the birth of a child. I think that
Okay.
that's disgusting. A lot of states allow it into the 20th and the 30th week, which I'm like, it blows my freaking mind. You're literally a murderer. And this this can't happen. This can't continue. And I feel like putting it on the state level at least puts it in the hands and in the brains and in the minds of people who can vote for their community and vote for their state and say, we don't think that it's okay that a woman uses this as birth control, and oh, she changed her mind in the 20th and the 30th week and now she wants to just murder this baby. I think that's awful because guess what? There's so many families and so many women like myself. I had, problems conceiving, and I've had, polyps and fibroids and, interuterine issues where I couldn't have a baby. And there are a lot of women who are still planning to have babies and cannot and would adopt those babies in a heartbeat. So, if you're in that 20th and the 30th week and you're saying, oh, I just want to, have an abortion, I don't want the responsibility. I think that it should be something where they're they're encouraged to have the baby and adopt, because there
Hmm.
are so many people who would love and take care of that baby. And then, then you don't have to live with that for the rest of your life. And really, abortion is going to stick with you and is going to stay with you the rest of your life, unfortunately, because it may not hurt you, but it's still going to stick with you. And, I think that it's nice to have people speak up for this and talk about it and talk about the safety of it and talk about, the fact that it's not a clump of cells, it's a baby. And we all know that. And even the people who claim that it's not a baby, I saw this woman with a picture of her very pregnant, like 7 month, belly, and it said, "This is not a human yet," on her stomach in LA. And I was like, it broke my heart because I was like, you're going to be a mom to this little person that you're carrying in your belly, and you're saying that it's not a human. It's just, I feel like it's very mental. I know I'm like long-winded on this, but seeing pictures like that, it just, it breaks my heart, and it makes me scared for humanity when someone could write that on their, like, it's really heartbreaking.
Killing before you answer. Guys, welcome to an edition of Hot Topic Celeb TV Unscripted. We are here tonight in conversation with co-host Amber Nichole Miller and the special guests, the beautiful, the sexy, the actress, the model, the producer, the entrepreneur, and television host, Caitlin O'Connor in the building. Don't forget, of course, you can join us each and every Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Find us as well on iHeartRadio. If you guys want to check out upcoming and full episodes, make sure you log on to HotTopicCelebTV.com. We'll be doing some questions and answers later and let you guys in the room. If you want to ask a question to either myself, Amber, or Caitlin, you guys need to make sure you are following my account at DTeflon, Amber's account at Amber Nichole Miller, the number 2, and also Hot Topic Celeb TV _. Send your question and we will invite you into the room to answer. Caitlin, you're up.
Oh gosh, you guys, I definitely see eye to eye with a lot of what Amber said. And at 6 weeks, when you are a woman who is pregnant, after 6 weeks, the fetus does have a heartbeat, and it's a very difficult decision that a lot of women have had to make. I have no idea really how I feel at this point. I think it should be up to each state. I think that if you would like to have an abortion, you can travel to, I'm blessed to live in California, where you can have personal freedom like that if you so choose. But to any woman out there who is thinking about having an abortion, I would say that abortions are very painful. Emotionally, physically, they have a physical lasting effect. And that's why a lot of women are dealing with infertility later in life. Uh, Abortions are not simple. Even the abortion pill is very, very painful. So you may say, oh, a lot of women are using it as a birth control, but it's a very painful process, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And if you do that once, I don't know if you'll do it again, but it's so much. It's so much.
Yeah.
I think
But do you both feel, do you feel that it should be up to a woman to make that decision or the federal government to make that decision? Because I had this conversation today with an argument with somebody where I said, I'm like, I feel that this may tip the iceberg to other things of giving the government, or at least trying to give
too
them more
much
control,
power.
too much power. And then, because I said, I'm like, what's the difference between, and you guys maybe can drive on this, the difference between them trying to force the V word into all of our bodies compared to a woman making this decision on her own. Is it not necessarily? And someone said, well, the government should have a right because the fact that, trying to force the V, that's protecting everybody. And so the government should have that power. So do you feel that the government should have this power, or should it just be an individual decision for each individual to make that decision that's best for themselves?
Every politician is not worried about my body. They
No.
don't care what happens to me. They are in office because they are running a business, the business of their collective community, and giving them the power is not necessarily something I feel comfortable with. I would prefer having personal health care that can provide a procedure if I do want an abortion, or if a woman wants an abortion. I think that she should have the power. I can't be in somebody else's shoes. And I definitely feel that after 6 weeks, there's a heartbeat there, and it's a very difficult decision. Uh, but it's just a really loaded question, and I don't want the federal government anywhere
Right.
near all this,
No,
But
I
do you,
think
but,
because you don't care about me.
I
but
think
do you
that's
feel, but do you,
overreach for sure.
yep,
But
go ahead, Amber.
I think it's a huge overreach, obviously, to have the government involved in anything that has to do with your medical and your body. Um, I like this decision, frankly, just because it will. I think that it's going to prepare women to be making better decisions. And I think that they will really take that to heart when it comes to having sex. And because, we all know that our culture pushes sex and everything is over sexualized and everything is, made to think that, this is how you get love is sex. And, this is not what we were not just made as a vessel to, like, have sex and give men pleasure, or to have it, it it's sad that it has to come down to people thinking, oh, now we can't kill our baby. It's crazy to me, because really the government has nothing to do with our health. Obviously they have a lot to do with our health care. um but at the end of the day, I just hope that something like this, and being brought to a state level and seeing how many states are saying that, they're going to make it illegal, or how many states are changing the amount of weeks that you can be pregnant, to be able to access an abortion. I hope and I pray that that will sit in a woman's heart, so that she does make a better effort at, if she's not ready to have a baby, then she needs to make sure that she's using protection and she can access that just as easily as she can access an abortion. And I think, we really need to be educating our young women on how to have contraceptives and how to have, to be making good decisions. And, since when do we not teach abstinence anymore? And, for my kids, they're teaching them crazy things like, anal sex and oral sex when they're 11 years old, that is safe sex. And I'm like, where are we as a culture where we're teaching young children who probably would never even think of those things and ask about those things, and now they're telling them that, oh, this is a great option. I'm like, that's not an option. Now, since when is that an option for my 11-year-old to know something like that? It blows my mind. But they wonder why we're in the situation that we're in, and why, when they're, getting abortions at an alarming rate. I mean, if you look at how many abortions are really being, done across the nation, it's heartbreaking to think that women think they have no other option, and that they've gotten into that position because no one educated them and no one really made them aware of, the ramifications of this. And now we'll have to live with these decisions. So I really hope that what this does is it pushes education, it pushes sound, decisions, and it opens families up to have real conversations. And I hope that that will be the biggest thing from this, is that it starts at home, having real conversations with your daughters and with your sons. Because guess what, your son is, I have two sons, they will know that that is important, and that they, that safety is, their biggest concern. And if they're going to be making these adult decisions, they need to be, worried about the adult things that come with that. So that's what I pray that this really does, is that it opens up that conversation on the family level.
I want to take a caller, and guys, I want to get your feedback on this. I want to take a caller in, and you guys can tell us what you think. Should the government have the right, or should be an individual choice? So let me pick somebody random here. Make sure, guys, when you come on, you're in good reception. Just say who you are and where you're from. Okay, let's see here. Guys, if you want to get in this question, you make sure you be following Hot Topic Celeb TV, and make sure you send an invite request on this page. Let's see here. Okay, who are you? Let's see who this person is.
You guys should comment where you're from. I saw somebody was.
Yeah, guys, let us know where you guys are from
Ohio.
in the comments here, guys. Let us know where you guys are from. Drop your
What's
comments
up,
in your city
Ohio?
below.
Brazil.
I definitely think we're getting deceived on both sides here. A lot of people aren't accessing information about the process of abortion, the process of abstinence. There's a lot of misinformation out there online. I think that people are not aware of what Planned Parenthood does with the tissue that comes out of your body after an abortion.
Right.
You sign a big paper document like this, a stack, and they have the rights to whatever they're taking out of your body, which is scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary if somebody is 20 weeks pregnant, and then they are signing over that fetus to whomever.
Right.
It's no education on either side.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Guys, if you want to jump in here, we're asking a question here to answer. Tell us where you're from, but send an invite. You have to be following Hot Topics Celeb TV underscore and send an invite, and I will let you into the room to ask a question.
I saw Chelsea Heath was on. What's up? She's also in Orange County.
Amber, you want to pick a random person from your thing and
Hi, Steve from
invite somebody
Ohio.
in?
Yeah, let's see. I'm like trying to look on here. Like it's like the screen is like frozen. I'm like, of course it is. I'm like, we can just tell someone to ask if you want to talk, but if here's the problem though, if we get somebody random that's like a crazy person, I have had that happen actually, somebody who was pretending and used the picture of a friend and asked to join a live, and we got the full like show. Yeah, so yeah. It gave us, I don't even know what they call it. It's like, Batwing or something. Guys will know. Like I was like, oh my God, we got to see the whole jump and stuff. I'm like, all right, that's just great. So you never know who you're gonna get on these things. Um, I really think that, this topic is definitely a hot topic. But I feel like there's not enough education about the topic at all. There really isn't, because
And I
it's so like two-sided, right? You've got the like hardcore Christians that are like, no one should be allowed to, you shouldn't, even if you were raped or even if there was incest, or, you should not have that choice of an abortion. And then there's people who are like on the far side where they're like, anything that if you have birth defect and you might have, like the woman I was listening to her, she was like, oh, well, if you find out your kid's going to have Down syndrome, you should be able to kill it. And I'm like, wait, what? I know lots of people who have children that are Down syndrome. Like, you're not just going to kill a baby because it's going to have problems. Yeah, but there's still, a viable baby. It's weird how far and few the conversation gets so wild, and I feel like more education needs to, if the federal government wants to be involved, they should be involved in teaching and educating what the differences are. And our sex ed is like a night. They really have over sexualized everything to the point where your kid is so confused by the time they get through whatever the sexual ed is, they don't even know what gender they are, and they don't know who they're having sex with, and they don't know how they're having sex, and they're asking questions about positions that they shouldn't even be asking. I'm like, let kids be kids, for God's sakes. Let these conversations be at home. And for the kids that don't have the home that has a safe place to talk about that, then they should have access to a health professional at their school that can answer those kinds of questions, instead of being force fed this like blanketed health, that they think everyone should know.
So, Caitlin, for you, like, what would you say for you, like, has been the key to your longevity in the industry?
Oh, the key. There's lots of keys. I don't know if I know them all or have them all, but I just love what I do. So the key is just getting up and waking up and loving your job. And if you've gone into entertainment not really having a passion to perform, and then you figure that out over time, maybe go behind the camera, find something else that you love to do. There's lots of different mediums to work in, um, and just don't give up. Keep going, keep striving. The jobs that are right for you will come to you, regardless of however many people are getting hired today, hired tomorrow on things that you want to work on.
Okay.
The right jobs that you really want and that you will be passionate about are coming to you. You just have to wait. And most people are impatient. They don't want to wait. They want it right now, and they'll do anything to get that right now. But you
It's
gotta
that
you gotta
instant
just wait.
gratification that we've like taught
Yeah.
everyone, that is so, is not important. You really, like, I love that Caitlin still is honing in on her craft, and
Mm-hmm.
she's still working on, her acting skills and her hosting skills. And that's where you're really seeing the split between the
Yep.
people who are going to have longevity in their career and the people who are like a flash in the pan. And if you're not educating yourself and you're not staying, really focused and hyper focused on making yourself better in every way and educating yourself and really pushing yourself to better, whatever it may be, your script reading or your interview, whatever it you may have, ahead of you. A lot of people think that you can just get away with being pretty or hot and being cute or being sexy. And yeah, that goes only so far, but you really have to have some, you have to have some level of maturity. You have to have some level of intelligence. You have to be able to, you know, keep pursuing and educating yourself and bettering your craft because, everything is constantly evolving. So if you want that longevity, you're going to have to evolve with it. So I love that Caitlin is still doing that and still, evolving. And I think I'm excited for her. Even, it's
Thanks,
funny.
girl.
As soon as you said be behind the camera, I was like, I can totally see you being a
Hmm.
director. Like you've got
Hmm.
that, like you're just your mannerisms are very like direct. So I love that. I'm like, oh, you would be a great director. Like you would have that. You have that too.
Is that
Oh,
something you would
thanks.
be inspired to do, Caitlin? Like,
Oh,
the
no
director?
way.
No?
No way. I do really enjoy producing content and producing the small films that I've been a part of. It's been an amazing time. I can show up with my hair a mess and just, run around doing things for people. That's what I really enjoy doing is serving others. And that is a service job when you really look at it. It's just at a very large scale. And it's a lot of fun to be behind the camera too. You do age out as a model and as an actress, but there's other things that you can do. Go
You guys
study
ain't aging,
lighting.
man. You guys ain't aging. You guys are some vampires and sleep in holy water and shit because it seems like the older you guys get, the younger you look, and we all just get old and we're just watching you guys continue to flourish, man. So it's not
I'm like,
fair.
I have definitely aged out. I am like,
Have you seen the, excuse me, have you seen the video you just posted the other day? Like, come on, stop with your nonsense. So, Caitlin, I mean, for you, if you could learn the answer to one question about your future, what would that question be?
Oh, say that again. I went too fast. It's midnight here. Where am I? Say it one more
right?
time.
If you could learn the answer to one question about your future, what would the question be?
Oh, to learn the answer?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I would like to know if my grandmother, who has passed away, is happy with the decisions that I've made. But I don't get to know the answer to that
Do you
until much, much later.
I
do you
love that. I have to ask then, okay, this is one big thing for me. My
okay.
boys noticed that is a monarch butterfly always comes and visits me in my driveway. And every time I go to get my post to my post box, same monarch is always there. And my boys are like, why that butterfly is always there when we park there. And I go, I know, it's my grandma. I swear to you, like it's my grandma visiting me.
Oh,
And it's wild because I saw the monarch when all of our things were stolen when we were robbed actually. And I looked online like right after I saw the butterfly and I found her vintage purse being sold on OfferUp. And I swear to you, I was like, this is like a message from her. So I'm like, I would love to ask you if you think that does that, is that something you believe in? Like, do you believe that, like your grandma, speaks through things and visits you in that way?
I think that the whatever is on the other side or whatever that we can't see with our human eyes is definitely trying to make contact with us. So the what we believe is out there, like when you see the monarch butterfly, that's when you know that your spirit guides and your grandmother who is looking out for you and who is with you always. You guys now have that connection, and that is her way of speaking to you. It might not be that exact butterfly, the
Right.
living tangible being
Yeah.
of the butterfly, but it's you making that connection with her, and that's how they are able to speak to us. I definitely believe that for sure.
I love that. See, I
There's
love
no
that.
other
I love
way.
that feeling too. I think that will transcend so much, and that's why I talk to my boys in that way. Is this is where we get down to the ground level of how we speak to people, how we are transcending to other people, and that's why, like, I think it's so important, and I love that you're that way. Is that everybody you touch will now feel that way? Do you know they'll feel like you see it that way, and with my boys, the same thing. I want them to always understand that, you're always being watched and you're always being, watched over and taken care of. Because if we put it out there, it'll definitely, come true and come to fruition. And your question to know, a question in the future, I wouldn't want to know anything. And like, I love that you asked that is, if you're hoping to know something in the future, I'm such a live in the moment person.
Mm-hmm.
I like today, what am I doing today? How am I doing this today? And I'm like, how many things can I smash in today? Literally, I was like, okay, I have exactly 12 minutes to put on makeup and just brush my hair from working out. I was like,
Girl, you have 12 whole minutes.
I did. I
How
had
did you
12
get
minutes to put
12
on my face
whole minutes?
and comb my brows out from my boxing class. So like, this is, boxing hair.
What would you say, Caitlin, has been your biggest accomplishment in the industry and biggest regret?
Biggest accomplishment is getting over my stage fright and my ability to be on stage and perform. And that's the first step in any performer's journey, is not having a panic attack and having to be rushed to the hospital before they are about to perform. I never went to the
Wow.
hospital,
I was
but
like, oh
that's
my
how I felt.
gosh.
That's just how I felt every time I would try to do what I wanted to do. It's just a subconscious thing you have to get over, you have to grow out of. It takes practice, it takes dedication, it takes professionalism, it takes all these things that when you're 18 you don't, realize, but that's what it takes. So I guess that's my biggest accomplishment, is learning how to speak in front of other people and be present. And that's when I went to study Meisner.
Mm-hmm.
That type of acting technique really helped me. So if anybody out there who has stage fright, that would be a word of advice. And then my what was the other thing?
Biggest regret.
My biggest regret was over sexualizing myself to where certain doors or many doors closed for me, even though that was my personal choice. And I like to sexualize myself when I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got enjoyment and fulfillment in life. I didn't realize how other people were going to perceive that.
Okay.
It wasn't in my power to, know what everybody else perceived. Maybe I was very naive, but I would maybe change a lot of the decisions that I made because other people's perceptions became what I had to bear
Right.
and what I have to think about, instead of just doing what I wanted to do. And the bikini modeling was fun for me, and I still do it. I still love it. I just didn't expect or realize what, other people think of you when you do those
Right.
things.
Well, I
I
probably
didn't
put
get
you
it.
like in a little box, right? You're now
Yes.
like seen as the, hot bikini girl, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than that. I'm like so much bigger than that. I have one question. What is something you auditioned for and you wish you really got, but someone maybe that you look up to or someone that you really like or got the position and you're like, well, okay, that person would deserve it, but you still were like, oh, I wish I got that position.
It was between myself and one other actress for Step Up 2, and it was one of the roles as like the TV host or the judge, or I really wanted to be the announcer in that movie, and it was between me and another girl, and she got it. I don't know her, so taking up a job that I lost out to somebody that I really look up to, gosh, I can't think of any. I don't know. I'll sit and think here for a
Yeah.
second, but that's a really good question. I've been to so many auditions, and right after the audition is over, I forget about it.
Yeah.
No
Who would you
recollection.
say then before you answer, who would you say then has been your biggest inspiration in the business on all three levels, modeling, hosting, and acting?
I love go-getters, and all of the girls that I personally have looked up to in the business have been named Olivia. Olivia Wilde, Olivia Munn, and Olivia Culpo. So maybe I should name my daughter one day Olivia.
Right.
I don't know.
For sure. I love that.
So I'm going to ask you a question here. What would you say if you were to give advice to your younger self, what you know now, and going back, say, 15 years? What conversation would you or advice would you give her?
I would tell the younger version of me to never put your boyfriend or your partner first all the time, to put your career first. And yeah, that's what I would say. I would say stop wasting time on boys. No more boys.
Did
Yes.
you
Go to
did you
work.
find yourself making those mistakes a lot when you were getting into
I
the business?
did, yeah.
Okay.
I wasted a lot of time worrying about where somebody else was or what they were doing or why are they not answering my call or, just the normal relationship stuff.
Hmm.
I would put all of that energy into more naps because after naps you look younger and
I love you. Like the best of youth is naps and no nonsense.
no more nonsense, just more naps.
What is something you're obsessed with?
Amber?
Something you're obsessed with?
Yeah,
No, I think that's for Kaylin,
both of
right?
you.
Shit.
What are you obsessed with?
Obsessed with, gosh, I've maybe filed those things into unspeakable things. Let me think. Right now, I'm obsessed with big earrings. I bought a bunch of these large, giant
Oh my
earrings. I don't know why. That would be one obsession, and I'm trying to get back into a regular workout routine, which is very hard for me. As I said, I like naps. So
You're like, I like
I just,
napping.
I love to sleep.
Oh, seriously, as
So
you get older, girl, I was like, when I realized you're only barely, what, you're like 33, you said?
I'll be, yeah, 33 on August 3rd, 333.
333. My sister's birthday is August 4th, and my grandmama who passed away is August 5th. Which
Oh,
I love. You
oh,
got that Leo energy. I'm Leo rising. Um,
hey.
you know what? I getting back to like the workout routine and getting like obsessed with that, it really takes a lot, especially when you're older. But I feel like you have to find something that's like a happy medium, like something that's going to push you enough, but not like hurt you.
Hmm.
And I think
To
that's
where I
one of
can't get
them.
out of bed the next day.
Seriously, like Pilates saved me. I always talk about this, especially during like the lockdowns and all of the cold stuff. Pilates actually stayed open because they're seen as therapeutic, and it truly was therapeutic. It kept me sane, and I got a body that I had forgotten about because I was in like comfort zone and I was in like mom zone. And I'm like, okay, I miss my body. Like, where can I have that back? I love the
I
obsession
love
question.
Pilates.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah, one of
You
my
got
top.
you guys are obviously, I mean, like, have maintained this level of beauty and fitness and obviously perfect skincare.
Wait, what is Amber obsessed with? Please tell me. I need to
Yeah.
know. I gotta know. I saw
My
Brett
obsession.
Ratner joined this live. Hi, Brett Ratner. Hello.
What am
What's
I
up?
obsessed with now? Oh my goodness. I think my newest obsession is changing people's lives. It's actually become so much more about how I can reach and change people's lives. I have a community of women with my new venture with Monade, and I have a few women that, are really starting to do big things with the company, and to call them on the phone and have them cry when they're like making these like milestones or making this money that they never thought they could make. That is such a like I'm like every day I'm like, okay, how'd you do? Did you get another VIP or did you get another market partner? Or, when they get their commission, I'm like calling, I'm like, okay, how good is it? And like to hear them get emotional and hear them cry and to hear them go, this has changed my life. This has changed my family's life. That is like my new obsession. It really is because, I didn't know I needed it. And now that I have it, I was like, wow, I went so long in my life thinking I only needed three friends and I only needed, those superficial relationships. And now that I have like these really deep, committed relationships with a lot of women, I never thought that was possible. I really didn't. I didn't think, I always looked at women as being very catty and very materialistic and very, it seemed like everybody was always in competition. And in our industry, we get that so much. It's, everyone's
Yeah.
vying for the same job. And even when I did customer development, I worked in the nightclubs in Vegas and all of my modeling career, everybody's always vying for the same job and for the same money.
Hmm.
And as you get older, you start to like, oh, it's good. I only need three friends, or I only need my four best friends, and that's plenty. and to open back up, and it like just opens up like a whole new part of your heart, and it opens up a new part of your brain. It's crazy to say, but I didn't know I needed it, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, I've lived all this time without that, and now I'm like, it's such a fulfilling, place to be. I'm
But
like,
how do you both balance that? Like when you're trying to stay focused on your goals and your tasks, where there's the younger ones per se that are still out partying and drinking and doing those things, or are not even in the business, and they don't get the discipline that you have to, as Caitlin said, and as I've said many times, like the sacrifice that you when you get into this industry, you sacrifice health, you sacrifice friends, you sacrifice relationships. So how do you guys know the balance between making that decision not to go out and party and do those things and still try to maintain meaningful relationships with people?
I think there's a time and place for partying. I think that if you can go out in moderation and just develop your career first,
Mm-hmm.
especially as a woman, have a talent and a skill. Don't just, if those are your goals is to marry somebody, just be out on the town,
yeah,
then pursue those goals. Those are your goals. And I'm not going to judge anybody. But being on the other side of my 20s are gone, I'm in my early 30s now, I would do a lot of things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like I have a voice now to talk to people and advise them that you shouldn't be out past midnight. Nothing good happens after midnight.
no,
Go to sleep and work on yourself, work on your career, and good things will happen.
yeah,
But how do you balance the artificialness, of course, like knowing it, just like Amber was saying, like when you're all working for the same jobs and you got girls per se, number one, that are like, you know, in the same circle. How do you know if they're trying to be your friend to maybe get in with the people that you know to maybe push you out of a job, or the ones that are just legit saying, you know what, I really want the best for this person to
I don't
succeed?
even concern yourself with it. I mean, I think as age and as you have been seasoned in the business, I think that you don't even concern yourself with those feelings anymore because it is what it is. There's nothing you can control. You can only control your
Yeah.
audition. You can only control how you show up for the job or you show up for the audition.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really out of your hands. And I feel like my younger self would get emotional and get a feeling or get some type of way about losing a position or a job from to somebody, or being felt like you're slighted by somebody by taking a job that you thought that you was your job. But at the end of the day, now that I'm old,
Lost
mine's
you.
about to
Uh,
my phone's about to die.
okay.
You can only control how you perceive things, and how that's the only thing you can control. As you get older, you are so
Yeah.
much more mature, and you take it for what it is. If you got the job, you got the job, great. But I don't think about how someone's going to try to slide in and take the job from me. If they do, great, then good on them, but that has nothing to do with me.
I definitely agree with you. It's hard to keep up with all these variables in any social situation, and life is tough out there, and it's all too much for me. But I just wake up every day and do my job. But it is difficult to deal with different negative aspects of careers, and
Mm-hmm.
we can't all be working behind a desk and gosh, I don't know. It's so hard to deal with people sometimes, and it's human nature,
Yeah.
competitive edge, and it's very difficult to develop the strength to deal with people. But you got to do it.
If you were to give
I
advice to
am like
somebody,
fully
yeah,
losing you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm like,
your charger. You want to go grab your charger?
yeah,
Okay, you go
yep,
grab your
I'm gonna
charger.
go grab the charger.
Yeah. So, Caitlin, like
Okay.
for you, like, what advice would you give for somebody getting in the industry? What they should know if they're just breaking into it, in the sense of if they were, inspired by you and inspired by, how you've maintained this longevity. What advice would you give them?
For somebody who is just entering the entertainment business, it's a very difficult business, but one that is, if you are passionate about what you want to do, it's a blessing and it's very enjoyable. Everybody wants to do it, but there's a reason why so few are successful. And those reasons are many. You have to be professional, trained. You have to understand your role and be respectable, respected, respect other people. There's so many variables, so just take it day by day and continuing to study and take care. All your ducks are in a row and continue to have them in a row, and everything will work out.
What does
That's all I
success
can say.
what does success mean to you though?
I think that for every person, the word success is definitely different. It's based on somebody's perception of life, and we all don't. None of us know why we're on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
You can go very philosophical on that. I don't know what success is to me. I don't even know why I'm here. I have no idea, but I follow my passions, and if I live every day with happiness and I have people around me who I love and a family and friends who I love. That is success to me. Not being in a position where I'm constantly unhappy or struggling. The things that I've set up for myself so far in my career, I
Mm-hmm.
feel successful, but I definitely have a long way to go. I have a lot of goals, so I don't have that success as far as my goals, what I want. I don't have it yet, but other people may see my career and say she's done a lot, and I'm thankful for that I've put in the time and work to do those things. But success evolves as you get older. It's different. In your early 20s, success is just such a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
Too much to say.
What current projects are you working on now, and what are your future goals that you haven't checked off the box of your million of things you've already done?
Right now, my current project is to have the best summer of relaxation, but I just keep on working.
And
So
more
that's
naps, right? And more naps.
more sleep.
Yes, naps.
Constant summer vacation is what